So today, maybe I should first write it here. So what you call variables of brewing. This is a topic or something that we need to pay attention to understand what really happens as you're trying to brew. After understanding this, that means you will understand if I happen to touch this variable, how will it affect my extraction? And what you need to understand, what you call variables of brewing, they're the very points that will definitely affect extraction. In coffee, we always describe it as variables, so you can at least get it as a variable, or you can get it as a factor that affect extraction. Every coffee that you're going to brew, understand what is to extract and what is to brew. These are two terminologies that we tend to use as we're trying to brew coffee, but every terminology has its fundamental use. When you say to brew, in coffee, to brew and to extract, these are the terminologies we tend to use. Okay? Be in position. What is to brew and what is to extract. Wherever you're watching us, today we're trying to dive into the variables of brewing. We're going to have such episodes onto our YouTube for those of the students that are getting some complications to understand this. If you're in a class, you were in class but you do not understand it well, you can go to our YouTube and you search for this. There will always be these episodes. I'm going to make each and every episode regarding our topics. And today, we started up with the variable. So when I tell you to brew any kind of coffee, it could be a V60, a K-mix, an Aeropress, an espresso. What are those very things that you need to have in place before you start? I'll take the line. What are those very things that you need to have in place before you start? Or the very things that you're going to at least touch on or consider first before you start? These are the ones that we always know as the variable. It's like when you're going to give me a good, delicious food. Okay? So for you to deliver the delicious food, there is that very food that you need to have in place. So these are the ones that we always know as a variable. Now what we call brew, it is the contact of the grounded coffee with the water. This is what we call brew. The contact, yeah? That very actual moment when the water is in contact with the coffee grounds, this is what you call brew. Now, what we call extraction, yeah? What we do call extraction, this is when the water dissolves the soluble compounds or the soluble materials or the soluble substances from the grounded coffee grounds. You get my point? And as you're trying to brew coffee, you need to understand what is inside the bean. What is inside? I'm sorry for the pen. Inside the bean. In coffee, you have what you call the soluble compounds and those that are non-soluble. Soluble compounds, these are the compounds that can dissolve in water, and we still have those compounds that do not dissolve in water. 30% dissolve and 70% they don't dissolve in water. So among the substances that can dissolve in water, when you get a bean, yeah, when you have some coffee grounds, when you grind the coffee, you want to expose all those very flavor compounds that are within these coffee beans. In a way of exposing these very flavors that are into these coffee grounds, whether within these coffee beans, we need to grind. When you grind, you give the water the accessibility, yeah, to go into this water, into these coffee beans, and try to extract or to dissolve or to pull. Do you understand, Memo Sitwa? Now, what you call soluble compounds, these are the materials that dissolve from the coffee grounds. Before you brew, these are the compounds that are within your coffee beans over your coffee grounds. There's what you call acids, there's what you call oils, there's what you call natural sugars, the likes of proteins and carbohydrates, natural sugars. There's what you call caffeine, there's what you call bitterness. Do you get me? These are the some of the compounds that do dissolve in water. So we give the water the energy, the energy to dissolve this. After you dissolving this is what we're going to drink as coffee. This is what we're going to drink as coffee. Whenever you see any barista trying to brew, these are some of the compounds that he or she they want to extract. But to at least attain or to have all this or to dissolve this, it will definitely depend on your brewing method and the kind of coffee you're trying to brew. If it's an espresso to have such flavor, you definitely go for 20 to 30 seconds. If it's in a pour over like a V60, to attain this, you need to use somewhere between 2 minutes to 3 minutes. If it's an espresso, 20 to 30. If it's an airpress, over there and pour over, we are going to be using 2 minutes and 30 seconds to achieve this. If it's a Chemex with a thicker filter paper, we shall definitely have these flavor compounds in between 3 minutes to 4 minutes. We shall definitely come to that. Why are we using 3 minutes and why are you using 4 minutes within that very area? Now, before you think of a Chemex, after you understanding, what is to brew and what is to extract, as I said earlier, to brew it is the contact between water and the coffee grounds. How long did they have each other? How long did they stay together? This is the contact. Now, within that very contact, this is when the water starts to dissolve. To dissolve is the same as to pull out the flavor. And these are some of the flavors that you're supposed to pull to dissolve. I want us to use the dissolving because it's the main terminology we tend to use as a trying to make extraction. Water has to dissolve. As I said earlier, examples of something that can dissolve in water, we have sugar, we have sand, and we have salt. If I put some sugar over here, I get a spoon, I stir like this. After some good time, you definitely see that you don't see any we stop. You get my point? So now when you get a stone, a hard stone, even if you stir, it cannot dissolve. You get my point? So those very compounds or substances that can dissolve in water, they are the ones that we always refer to as the soluble compounds. And those very compounds that do not dissolve in water, they are the ones that we always refer to as the insoluble. You get my point? Yes. Thank you. Now, after understanding that, let's go to the variables. What are you supposed to consider before you brew any kind of coffee? Every barista has to at least understand these variables. They are more like 15. Okay? Now, number one variable, we call them variable stock factors that affect extraction. Number one, it is the quality of the coffee beans. Quality of the coffee beans. We have different grades of coffee. We have grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. And we say grade 1, these are the very coffee beans that are of the highest grade of quality with the cupping score of 80.2 and above. Of grade, this is the last grade of coffee beans, where we expect, during grading, we analyze that maybe there were more defects other than the good beans. Were you with us that day? Maybe you do not understand this. Now, quality of the coffee beans matters. Which nature or which kind of coffee beans do you have? If you want to have the best, you consider grade 1. Grade 1, this is none other than specialty coffee beans. These are the beans of the highest grade of quality. Specialty coffee beans, they all fall under Arabica. But there are those very steps that these beans are supposed to undergo to become specialty. I said there are 3. There's what we call coffee grading according to size, coffee grading according to defect, where Q graders are supposed to analyze every defect that are within these very coffee beans and they sort them out. Then after sorting them out, we go into roasting. After roasting, a group of people who are certified by SCCA as key graders, they will definitely come and try to analyze the coffee or evaluate the coffee. We say cupping, it is a professional practice, boss. We have just started, yeah. Be serious, it's properly. We've just started. We haven't cracked any point. But the way you're looking at me, it's as if you are trying to wind up. Now, Twagan, cupping, it is a professional practice, yeah. A professional practice done by Q graders in a way of understanding the coffee's quality. It's a professional practice done by Q graders in a way of understanding the coffee's quality through testing. Cupping is all about testing. Yeah? You taste the aroma and you feel the aroma and you taste the flavor by the palate. We always use two organs. Okay? Number one, it is the nose seeker, you're distracting us. You're distracting me. We say, what are you going to do?
Somehow busy.
Okay. I said cupping, it is a professional practice, but this is just a way of how to find out the coffee's quality when the beans have been fully roasted. Now, according to our level, we can phrase it like cupping is a professional practice that will be done by Q graders. Q graders, these are people who went under SCCA, they took a course, and they certified as Q grader as the very people who have the experience to track the aromatics of this very coffee ground and to track the flavor. If it's an aroma, we tend to use the nose. If it is a flavor, we tend to use a palate. Do you mind, are you with me? We say the flavor is that very sensation we tend to get onto our palate. Anything that we taste, it could be good, it could be bad. Anything that you detect, it is what you call a flavor. Now, as I said earlier, for the beans to become specialty, they need to first go into grading according to size, grading according to defect, and let's see about cupping. When the beans tend to score 80 to 100, this is when they would definitely be regarded as specialty. However much these beans are of Arabica, we grew them onto a higher altitude. We processed them, we packed them, we went into roasting. The beans failed to at least to score 80 points. They will never be regarded as specialty. The only way for them to be regarded as specialty, they need to go into cupping protocol. Beans are supposed to be analyzed. The moment they get 80 on a scale of 100, from 80 points on a scale of 100, this is when they are going to be regarded as specialty. So if you want the best, or you want to deliver the best cup, always consider grade 1. Grade 1, this is what you call specialty coffee beans. Do we good? Are we good, boss? Thank you. Now, number 2, you consider the freshness of the coffee bean. Freshness of the beans. Freshness of the coffee beans. This is a point that you gave me, but you didn't understand it. Freshness of the beans, what do I mean? When were these beans roasted? If you want the best from these very coffee beans, or from these very coffee grounds, choose the very coffee beans that are fresh. And when I say fresh, I don't mean entirely that they should be roasted today, you use them tomorrow. No, those are super fresh. Let's say, for example, if the beans are roasted today, yeah, we need to extend or to give it a week for them to degas. Well, if they are roasted today, Juma, if the beans are roasted today, roasters advise us to start using these beans after 1 week or 2. Why? Because during roasting, these very coffee beans come with a byproduct. What they tend to come with oxygen gas or carbon dioxide gas inside. So this carbon dioxide gas will act as a a barrier for our proper extraction. Like if you want to hit this board, you need to first hit me before you come to this board. That means now I'm acting as a barrier. I'm trying to protect the board. This is what carbon dioxide gas will definitely do. What we do, when the beans are roasted today, yeah, they tend to come with a lot of CO2 or carbon dioxide gas. So it will definitely extract, or rather obstruct our proper extraction. It won't allow, carbon dioxide won't allow the water to come in fully extract. When water comes, water will be restricted. Do you get me? Together, we are not going to get our proper extraction. What do? We get these coffee beans, we put them somewhere where there's no light, where there's no water, when the beans are not exposed to oxygen. When the beans are within a bag, just as you see this is a full bag. Okay, this is a full bag. It's okay, you can share, no problem. It's okay, you can share. When I say freshness of the coffee, yeah, we tend to mean when were these beans roasted. Freshness of the coffee, yeah, when were these beans roasted. If you want to have the best, consider freshly roasted coffee beans. And when the roasters tend to give you the coffee beans, they'll definitely give you the month, the day, and the year. So if it's a month, if we are within May, yeah, if the beans are roasted today is 28?
Yeah,
28. They will come and sang on 28th, the day, then they sang on the month, they sang onto the month, they sang onto the specific day, 28, and the year, 2026. So if the beans are roasted today on 28, we need to give these beans 1 week before we use them. This is why they put up this value. It is to slightly or slowly release the carbon dioxide gas from this very coffee beans. Do you get me? This valve has to release the carbon dioxide gas slowly. So, why are we supposed to consider that roasting period or that degassing moment? If the beans have degassed, this is when we're going to get the best peak of these very coffee beans. When I say best peak, I mean as these very flavors are going to be indicated. If you give these beans that resting period or that degassing moment, you will definitely feel each and every flavor that is allocated here as per the roaster. But if you don't give these beans that very time, it might definitely take you some, you're going to do a lot of techniques at least to get the best out of these beans. If they're super fresh. If they're roasted today, give it 1 week, then you start to use them within that very week. If today is 28, then you count from 28, 1 week, then you start to use them. What is the essence? It is to get the best peak of these beans. After 1 week, these very flavor compounds are going to shine. They won't shine if you use them that very day when the beans are being roasted. Together, Brewing, roasters recommend us that we should use these beans after 1 week after roasting date. Why? Because you want to get the best peak of these beans. What do I mean the best peak? Just as I've the indicated mango, lychee, melon. For you to perceive these very flavor compounds, give these beans 1 week. Or if you don't have any coffee beans within around, and these are the very coffee beans that you left with, yeah? When it comes to an espresso machine here, the only way is to increase the ratio. Increase the ratio. We haven't come to the espresso. We haven't started the espresso. It may be confusing you. But when it comes to brewing over there, what do you do? If the beans are super fresh, we just increase the temperature of the water. Where we are supposed to go, maybe adding 90 to 92, that side, if the beans are super fresh, go to 95, 94, 95. To to fight about the carbon dioxide gas as well as the acidity. Do you get me? Now, we need to consider the freshness of the coffee beans. We need to use these very coffee beans that are fresh. Let's say if they are roasted today, we need to give them 1 week, then we start to use them. Roasters still recommend us that we should use these beans within 1 month of raw roasting. Check this out. If we keep them 1 week, now we are left with 3 weeks. Do you get me?
Yes.
We've kept them for 1 week. That means in a month now we are left with 3 weeks. So let's use these beans within the last 3 weeks. When we clock into the next month, we can see these beans, or we're going to start to see these beans as unaged coffee. That means even the approach will be different. Aged coffees, if you want to get the best out of these very coffee beans, when the beans age up, they tend to weaken in terms of flavor. What we do, when you're there trying to brew, then if the beans age, we just lower the temperature. When the beans are fresh, we increase the temperature. Why are we lowering? So that we don't definitely burn this weakened flavor. Why are we increase the temperature? To fight against the high acidity as well as the carbon dioxide gas. Because carbon dioxide by nature is sour. So what we do, we tend to increase the temperature when the beans are still super fresh. If you want to use them within like 1 day or 2. If it's a V60. Remember, V60 has a procedure over the first phase where we need to first pour water, 60 minutes of water to our coffee to allow each and every gas that is trapped into this bean so that they can be released. So consider freshly roasted coffee beans. Use beans that were roasted like a week before to get the best pick of this very coffee bean. Yes, your best pick is when you have money. Your best pick starts from 16 until 40. You get my point? The best pick of a guy is when you have a big wallet. That will always be your best pick. Then the best pick for mama, for over any girl, it is from 16 until 40. Within that years, you can become whatever you want. Even if you're not educated. This is why you always say, when it comes to love, you and her, you can go for an interview at the same time, and they give her a job, even when she's not good as you. People are very soft to this very gender. So you need to work harder to convince these people to choose you between you and her. Your best pick is when you have a big one. Her best pick, it is only to set standards. In between 16 to 40, she can definitely become whatever she wants. Doctor, no. You cannot become a doctor if you didn't go to school. But you can become rich, even when you didn't go to school. Yeah. Beauty can definitely elevate you. If you're beautiful, you set boundaries, of course, rich guys will definitely come. If you set a boundary, principle that I don't date such people, I don't do this with these people. I don't stay in such areas, I say the same. This is what you call boundaries. So the best pick, it is when beans are supposed to be, they're supposed to degas for about 1 week, to get the best pick. I'm done with that very point. Do you understand it? So you need to consider the very coffee beans before you start to brew your coffee. What you do, every bag will always have this information. This is what you call a profile. So a profile will always cover the detailed information of where these beans are coming from. Number one, the country of origin. The country of origin, where these beans are specifically coming from. And we say, what you call a single origin coffee. These are the very coffee beans that are coming from one state, one country, or from one cooperative farm. From one place. Okay, consider this. When I say this is a single origin coffee, I mean that these beans are coming from one country, one estate, or from one farm. Like as of now, if you are in Riga, someone establishes a farm in Ajuman. These are two different areas. In these two different areas, they tend to have different mineral composition. The minerals that we have here, they might not definitely be the same mineral composition we might have in Ajuma. If we grow coffee here, there are higher chances for this coffee to taste totally different from those very coffee beans that are going in Ajuma. When you grow coffee into that specific area, you harvest, you process, you do whichever it takes. Those kind of coffee beans are the ones that we always refer to as a single origin coffee. When beans are coming from one country, one place, one estate. You get me? In Uganda, you have those dry areas and those fertile areas. The likes of Karamoja, it is very dry. The likes of Mbarara, they are very fertile as well as Buganda. Those are two different areas. So, Ethiopia, so if I give you this coffee, is this a single origin or a blend? We have two kinds of coffee beans. We have a single origin coffee and a blended coffee. A blended coffee, it is when you mix coffee beans that are coming from different origins. Like for example, this is the Ethiopia. I blend it with Brazil. In blending, coffee blending, we mix the beans. Don't confuse it with the variety. Varieties, we mix trees. You get my point? Tree, when they're still young, when you combine this tree and this tree, what you've just done is what you call a variety. When you mix coffee beans from this bag and the other bag, this is what you call a blend. To get complex flavor. Complex means many flavor within one. Take it up, you get me? So now, put it aside. So before you brew, pay attention to the roasting date. There's not any coffee that you ever brew if they have not given you this information. For you to have a guideline, or to understand the nature of the very coffee beans and the flavors that we might definitely expect. African coffees, they tend to have their own ways of how they taste. We say African coffees, generally, they are going on to a higher altitude. They tend to have what called the brightness of the acidity. They are always sweet, they are fruity, they are smooth and floral. Because they are all grown on higher altitudes. And we said what influences this high acidity and the fruitness of the sweetness, it is always going to be influenced by the elevation. Beans that are grown on a higher altitude, they tend to have higher acidity. The more the altitude, the more the acidity, the more fruity it will definitely be. Because as they try to grow, they mature slowly. It is the same thing that happens to the beans that are grown on the lower. The lower the altitude, the lower the acidity, the lower is the sugar. Do you get me?
Yes.
This is why Robusta has low sugar content other than the Arabica. Arabica has more acidity other than the Robusta. But remind you, it's not the only reason as why the coffee could be with high acidity and it could be fruity. Other things that influence acidity and sweetness, it could be a process. A process, if we cover the processes, we have natural, we have the wash in the honey. Honeys, we say they tend to have what we call exceptional sweetness and a honey heavier body. Because as we're trying to dry, we dry them with all their natural sugars in. So we just dry it we harvest, we just dry them as we got them from the coffee farm. Then for the washed, we peel off the first outer layers, then we dry. And we said if the beans are under washed, they tend to give what we call a cleaner profile and the brightness of the acidity. Then honey lies in between these two. It only balances the levels of acidity as well as the sweetness. So understand the process. What's the importance of a process? What influences acidity as well as the sweetness could be an elevation. It could be a type of a variety, every variety has its own unique flavor. Typical tastes as typical, bourbon tastes as bourbon, Catra tastes as Catra. Geisha tastes as geisha. If you make a decision to go geisha, geisha will never taste as bourbon. There are those individual characteristics that very tree will obtain. You get me? Amina. Now, after understanding this, let's go to what you call a grind size. Grind size particle distribution, these are the particles that you're going to grind. These are the particles, grind size. So a grind size, you have in coffee, what you call a grind size. These are the particles that you're going to chop in your coffee bean into smaller or larger pieces. This is the easiest way of how can I describe a grind size. Now, we have different grind sizes we're trying to brew coffee. We have what we call a very fine. We have what you call fine, very fine. We have what you call fine. We have what you call the medium fine. We have what you call the medium. We have what you call very fine, medium fine, medium. We have medium coarse. We have coarse. We have extra coarse. Okay, so these are the some of the types of the grind sizes we tend to have in a coffee shop or whilst you're trying to brew coffee, and every grind size will impact the way the coffee will definitely taste. When the particles are very fine, that means those particles won't allow the water to pass through. So such particles, these are the particles we tend to use as we're trying to brew Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee, go to YouTube, you will see. We tend to use particles that are very fine. Very fine. Then when you come to fine particles are always going to be used as we're trying to brew an espresso. Because an espresso goes for a shorter period of time. Let's say, for example, it has to be brewed for about 20 to 30 seconds. So for in between 20 to 30 seconds, we need to consider grind size that is a little bit finer. Fine grinds extract more. This is why you cannot use the minutes here. We use the seconds because the more finer the particles, the more it will extract. When particles are very fine, they will definitely be extract more. When the particles are too coarse, they extract less. So when it comes to an espresso, we use fine particles because fine particles extract more. Over here. Then when it comes to medium fine, in medium fine, this is where we find a V60 and as well as an aeropress. Within fine as well as medium, within these areas. Then medium coarse, where the particles are slightly larger than the V60 particles, we tend to use this medium coarse as we're trying to brew what you call a Chemex. Okay? Then coarser and extra coarse. This is coarser grind size. It is where we tend to do our cold drip and cold brew. The particles are supposed to be slightly coarse because it has to be brewed for a longer time. That is what you call a cold brew. A cold brew bucket or called a toad brew. Toad, it is a brewer we tend to use as we're trying to brew a cold brew. You just get that toad bucket, you get a filter, you get that bucket. First of all, you need to have a ratio. How many grams, let's say. You get your coffee grounds, you get a filter, you put your coffee, you put in your filter, then you pour in your coffee with water, you allow it to stay for about 16 hours. Then tomorrow, you get it, you restrain, then you start to serve. After straining, you put it into a chiller. This is how you definitely make cold drip, cold brew. Then for the cold drip, you get a cold drip tower. It has 3 chambers. The upper chamber where we put ice, then the middle chamber where we put coffee grounds, and the lower chamber where water has to drop in after passing through the coffee grounds. You cannot understand it as of now. You need to first see it. Now, how does the grind size affect your coffee? When you make a decision to go fine, understand what is the impact of fine grinds and what is the impact of a coarser grinds. If I make a decision to go fine, what do I want to increase or decrease? Fine grinds extract more. Do you get me? Coarser grind extract less. Understand the kind of grind size that we're supposed to use as you're trying to brew your coffee. If it's an espresso, keep in between fine. Now, how do I get to know if this is fine and this is coarse when it comes to an espresso machine? What we always monitor, it is the extraction time as well as the flow rate. Come in. Okay? When I say flow rate, yeah, it is the speed at which water passes into your coffee pot. You get me, Mama? Bossa. Hey, what is the for? The faster the water happens to run through your coffee, we can definitely regard that one as being a faster flow rate. When the water is too rapid or when the water is too fast, we can at least describe that rate as being fast or faster flow rate. When the water is slow, it is what we can definitely consider as being a slow rate, a slow flow rate. Now, you see this rate? This is what you call a faster flow rate. And this water is trying to communicate to me to inform me that there's not any coffee grounds inside the pot, your basket. And if you happen to have this, then you stop. It was fast. Then you stop. If you're experiencing this is what you call a slower rate. You get my point? So a grind size will definitely influence the rate. When the particles are too fine, you are going to experience what you call a slower rate. You know why? Because water will be restricted to pass through these coffee grounds. Like as of now, if you give me some water to drink and I just come, I do like this, that means I'm not going to have any water to drink because there's a lot of spaces within my fingers. So what I do, if I instead do like this, there are chances of me to have some water. The finer particles, the longer resistance, or the longer time the water will take to pass through these coffee grounds. The finer the particles, the longer the water will take to pass through. Remember here, let's say for example an espresso machine, we're supposed to use 20 to 30. Together, when the particles are very, 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 very fine, we are going to exceed our extraction time of 20 to 30. What has made us to exceed 20 to 30 seconds? If it's a grind size, the machine is trying to communicate to you that the particles are very, very, very fine. Adjust them towards slightly coarser. What happens if the particles are very fine? When the pump starts, it pushes the water to pass through the pump. And the pump is like, Baba, me, I have no anywhere to go. So there is going to be a higher resistance between the coffee grounds and the pump. The pump is pushing. The pump is like, Baba, I am at my extreme end, nowhere to go. That is when the time will increase and you surpass 20 to 30 seconds. Do you get me? Now, another incident. If the particles are very coarse, when you put in your coffee grounds into the basket, you will experience a faster flow rate. You know why? Because there's no resistance. There has to be resistance. That resistance has to occur. It has to happen for about 20 to 30 seconds to get you the yield. If there's no any resistance, this is the moment when water passes into your basket as if there's not any coffee ground, like this. We are going to get the yield before the actual time. Do you get me? Remember, maybe you've not understood this. Until when it comes to an espresso, you need to have a recipe. Every coffee that you're going to brew, you should have a recipe. A recipe consists of a dosage. Every coffee that you're going to brew, you should first have a recipe. No gamba recipe. We need to have a dose. We need to have a yield. We need to have time and the brew ratio. So what we call dosage, these are the very grams that we're going to use. If it's an espresso, we can definitely dose all the way from 14 to 22. What are we dosing? You see this basket? This is a basket. This is an 18 grams basket. This one, this is an 18. And we still have the 20 bar basket. This one. Are they the same? They're not the same. This one is a little bit bigger other than this one. So the very coffee grounds that are supposed to go here, if I put these very grounds over here, they will definitely be less. And if I put these very coffee grounds that are supposed to be here, I put them this side, they will be all over. Understand what the basket has to carry. Into 20. You put into 20. So from 14, it could be 16, it will be 18, it will be 20 or 22. So now, what you get out is what you call the yield. After coming to an espresso machine and you pull a shot like this. What you're going to get in your cup, yeah? What you're going to get into your cup is what you call the yield. Okay? So, so now, what you're going to get, let's say for example, the basket holds 20 grams. If the basket is holding 20 grams, that means you're going to get out 40. You just multiply what the basket has to carry over here. Mama, put in 20, yeah? Then when you come to an espresso machine, after you logging in, yeah, you start the extraction. Or you press the button for the extraction to start. What you're going to get into your cup, it has to be as twice of what you've just put over here. If you put in 15, that means at the end of the day, you're going to get up to 30. If you put in 20, you put in 20 grams over here, you dissolve it by 40 mLs of the liquid out. If you put in 22, that means you're going to dissolve it by 44 mLs of water out. In between 20 to 30 seconds. Now, dosage is going to be decided, but the dosage will be determined by the basket. How big the basket? The basket is the main determinant of the dosage. When you come here, let's say pull from one shot of an espresso, give me one cappuccino. Before you go to give me one cappuccino, you need to understand how many grams does the basket has to carry. Like as of now, you've just popped in. If you come and say, Baba, give me one shot of an espresso, you cannot just come because you understand the size of the cup, you just give me cup. Understand the size of the basket to get to know how many grams do I need to put into this portafilter. Not to put in more and not to put in less. Because if it's less, we are going to experience a faster flow rate. If it's over, we are going to experience a slower rate. Check is that any of these two, if you put in more, the water will be restricted. When it is restricted, time will move from 20 to 30, you go into almost 1 minute. Yet you told you there should be in between 20 to 30. Now, number 2, another incident. If you put in less, the basket was supposed to take 22 grams, and for you put in 15. When the water starts to come, it's as if there is no any coffee. It will just flow like this. So if you expense such a rate, that means you're not going to clock to 20 to 30 seconds. That is a number 1 incident. Number 2, let's go back to the grand size. What happens if the particles are too coarse? Even if you had understood what the basket had to carry 20 grams, then you dose 20 grams. When those very particles are coarsely or are coarser, water will just run. However much you term, still it will run. Because there is no any resistance. That resistance has to occur or has to happen for about 20 to 30 seconds. So if the grand size is too coarse, this is an example. Let's say 20 grams. If the particles are fine, that means we shall have 40 ml of an espresso in 40 seconds. And the reason as why we've got 40 ml of an espresso in 40 seconds, it could be about a grand size when the particles are very fine. Do you get me? Why did we skip or why did we extend 10 seconds, more 10 seconds? We were supposed to use 20 to 30. But according to our exception time, we've used 40 seconds. The reason as why we are having 40 seconds, it could be a grand size. Now, to be sure if it's a grand size, before you put a shot, understand what you're supposed to put here. To remove any confusion or any doubt, to be specific that I need to dose 18. If I dose 18 and I get out, let's say if I dose 20, I get out 40 ml of an espresso in 40 seconds. That means the variable that I'm supposed to adjust is the grand size. Do you get me, Mama?
Yes.
If you've not, you inform me. 2 things that will always lead to a faster flow rate. 2 things. If the grand size is too coarse, coffee will run. Number 2, when you put in less grams, you will experience it. Okay? You come. I'm not going to dose any coffee, I'm just going to put in any coffee, then we see how it will get in flow. Okay? Almost a quarter, then you distribute. Even after distributing, you definitely see that maybe even the distributor does not touch the coffee. Because the coffee is less. Then you give it a tap. After giving it a tap, you come, you see, the coffee is less. Then you flash. After flashing, you lock in. When you lock in, you're going to experience a faster flow rate. Yeah? When you press like this, this is what I mean. So within seconds, it's as if there is no coffee. Now, if the basket is taking 20 grams, I then mistakenly put in 25. There's going to be more restriction. Check as I'm not going to have this I'm not going to get my target yield in between 20 to 30 seconds. Do you want us to do it? Yeah? Okay. You see? I'm just going to put it there. I'm not going to use any scale, anything. I just want you to show you that if the particles are very, or if the particles are too fine, or if you overdose the coffee, how will the flow rate be? Okay, to be professional, let's measure. Bring the scale. Put it over here. So he does the coffee. As I said, you understand what the basket has to carry. be very specific. These are the very grams that I'm supposed to use. Remember, it has to go for 18, but I'm going to put in 20. Yeah? And they see how the rate will definitely be. Remember, rate is the speed. Okay? How will it affect our extraction? This is 17. If you put in more grams, and if the particles are very fine, how will the rate be? So you put it aside, distribute first. Even in distributing, you see. Then you give it up. Then after, you fry. After flashing, you get your screen. I want us to be specific. Okay? Let me get this down. Then you lock in. After locking, you try to remove the weight of the cups. You start there and then. I want you to observe here. Then you click at the same time again. Okay, I don't know, was it visible? I don't know if you have seen. Indeed, when you press, water will be restricted. So you will definitely wait for the U to come. As the time has already exceeded our extraction time zone. You were supposed to use 20 to 30. But after analyzing how the water flows, you will definitely see that it is very slow. It's like when you get a drop after 2 seconds. Yeah? You press. That is a faster flow down. We are waiting for a slower. This is what you call a slow rate. This is indicated by how many grams you've dosed in, or it could be the gram size. This is how the gram size affects extraction. The finer the particles, the longer the extraction time, the more the particles will extract. Fine particles extract more. The closer the particles, the faster the water will pass through. And when the water passes through our coffee before the actual time, that means that those flavor compounds you're going to miss out. Because we didn't give this coffee enough extraction time or enough surface area. What is enough surface area? If it's an espresso, you're supposed to use 20 to 30. Why are you using 15? Why are you using 9 seconds? In 9 seconds, you cannot deliver a good shot of an espresso. And if you're having 40 seconds still, it's not good. Because the particles have extracted, these fine particles have extracted more. You've extracted more than the required. You've put in the negative flavor. Use 20 to 30, then you test. If it's a V60, use a medium fine grind, say a medium fine. How will I know if this is a medium fine? Yeah, they need to be more like sugar particles or salt, table salts are in such texture. Number 2, it will definitely depend on the brew time. If you brew it within 1 minute, that means the particles are coarse. If you brew it in 8 minutes, okay, let's say for example, we are supposed to use the 3 minutes. But after 3 minutes, you still have some water that is still clogged into your brewer. 3 minutes class, but you see that you still have some water within your dripper. That is an indicator that the particles are too fine. So what you've gone to go and do what you call a muddy. Muddy, it is a test that we get when the particles are very fine. Kabanga kadongo. You don't understand it. It's like when the particles are very fine, yeah? When the particles are very fine, they will restrict the water to pass through. This is why you see, after 3 minutes, you see you still have some water within the dripper. That means if you intend to leave this water to drip through your coffee grounds, you might end up using 10 minutes. Of which a V6 has to go for about 2 minutes and 3 minutes. Of course, you need to change that. How do you change that? You grind towards coarse. You go slightly, you adjust the grinder towards coarse. In the other incident where you had brewed your V6 within 1 minute, it can be. There are those very people who can definitely brew V6 within 1 minute. What they do, they just consistently do agitation and stirring. Stirring is when you mix. Or you agitate, after every pour you agitate, after every pour you agitate. Every time when you agitate and stir, you're increasing the extraction. If you don't do that as a junior, go with the standards of how we brew. Pour the first pour, 60 minutes of water, rest. Pour half of your yield, you rest. Second extraction, soaker, brewing phase where we need to first release the carbon dioxide gas. Then the second is what you call the extraction phase, or the infusion phase. To infuse is to extract something out of something. We want the coffee, we want the flavor, but these flavors are within these very coffee grounds. So for us to have these flavors, we need to give these coffee grounds what you call a brew time. They need to hug each other, to kiss each other for about 3 minutes. So within these 3 minutes, water might have extracted what you wanted. Do you get me? So if the particles are too fine, water will be restricted to pass through. And if the particles are very coarse, water will just run through. And when water runs through before our actual time, that means we've extracted, but some flavor compounds were not extracted. That coffee will be weak. If you don't give your coffee enough surface time or enough brew time, the coffee will be weak and it will be sour. Sour, when we say we have two terminologies in coffee. There's what you call sour and there's what you call bitter. When do we use these terminologies? Sour, it is this kind of coffee or is this kind of an extraction where we extract less out of the coffee grounds. Let's say, for example, I told you put for me on a shot of an espresso. You put your shot of an espresso in 90 seconds. If I'm to describe that kind of extraction or how it tastes, I would definitely say this coffee is sour. Do you get me? Sour, it is this kind of an extraction we tend to do where we've only extracted less flavor. Some flavor compounds were left in the pack. The reason is you did not give your coffee enough time. Maybe the temperature of the water was not on point. Maybe, what is? Temperature of the water, sourness. Yeah, sour, it is a flavor we perceive in coffee. When you've extracted less, you haven't started hand extraction. Because if I'm to explain this,